In this week's Parsha of Matos, the following verse appears. It's actually the second in the Parsha. It says, Ish ki dor neder Hashem. If a man makes a vow to Hashem, to God, O he shavah shavua l'asor yisrael nafsho, or he swears an oath to restrict himself, to restrict his will, lo yachel devaro, shouldn't break his word. Kochol hayotzei mipiv yaseh. Everything that he says, he should do. Okay? This is the prohibition against breaking a vow. If somebody makes a vow, he has to fulfill it. And this is a biblical obligation. Now, who said this? Who said this to whom? Well, that's the previous verse, the previous pasuk. This is the first verse in this week's parsha. It says, Vaydaber Moshe el Roshei Hamatos L'bnei Yisrael Lemor. And Moshe said to the heads of the tribes of the children of Israel, saying, Zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem. This is the thing. This is the word that God has commanded. Now, we're very familiar, as we've commented in the past, we're very familiar with the phrase, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Lemor, and Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, or, Vaydaber Moshe el bnei Yisrael, Moshe spoke to the children of Israel. But this, say, observe the Meforshim, is the only time that the Torah describes Moshe as speaking specifically to Roshei Hamatos L'bnei Yisrael, to the heads of the tribes. So why is it? If something appears only once, it's legitimate to say that there's something unique about this speaking, this episode, if you will, this requirement, that it finds this unique expression. So what is it? Why is it that Moshe conveyed this message specifically to Roshei Hamatos, to the heads of the tribes? So Rashi says it's to give them kavod. It's to give them honor. That doesn't quite answer the question, though. Maybe it'd give them honor, but why give them honor here? The Ramban and the Or HaChaim say something that's a little unusual. They say that since the upshot of this section is not only that a person shouldn't break his word, but also that if a person makes a vow and it turns out that he did so mistakenly for various reasons, he has regret, he didn't realize that all the circumstances, didn't have an accurate assessment of all the circumstances, he didn't realize what the implications would be. So either a mumcha, a person who is a Talmid Chacham, a scholar who is an expert in these matters, or based in a tribunal of three ordinary individuals, can nullify the vow. Okay. What is it about Roshei Matos in connection with these utterances? Well, Rav Hirsch observes that there are really two words for a tribe that are used in the Torah. One of them is Shevet, and the other is Mata. There's a denotation of Mata, which is that it is a branch. That a branch is unique, but it's ultimately connected. Branch is connected, but it's ultimately unique. And the notion of vows is a proclamation that is binding. The commentaries observe that the prohibition of violating a vow and the obligation to follow a vow is actually an extension of the power of the Torah. It's unique in that an individual has the ability, through a vow, he may say that he will perform an act or won't perform an act, or that something is prohibited to him. He may say that this loaf of bread is prohibited to me. Then if he eats from that loaf of bread, if he does the act that he said he wouldn't do, if he does not do the act that he says he would do, then he's violating a biblical prohibition. Now, you won't find that prohibition in the Bible. You won't find that Isser in the Torah. But there is a sense of delegation of authority from the Almighty to the individual to create a sense of prohibition that has biblical force. This is remarkable. Now, the Chassam Sofer, it's quoted in another sefer, Chassam Sofer says that the power of speech, he observes, the power of speech is so unique that in the beginning of the Torah, in Parshas Bereshis, where the Torah discusses the creation of man, it says, Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, vayhi adam lenefesh chaya. Hashem blew into or with his nostrils, or the nostrils of man, and man became a nefesh chaya, a living being. Now, Onkelos translates this as l'ruach memalala, a speaking soul, a speaking spirit, meaning that the manifestation of of the connection between God and man, this tselem elokim, if you will, this image of God, is reflected and manifest in man's power of speech. This power of speech is very strong. It is so strong that it forms not only the identity of man and as a spiritual being, but it also lays the foundation for the acceptance of the Torah by the Jews. The Jews declared, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do, and then we'll hear. And that's considered to be a fundamental distinction of the Jewish people in their acceptance of the Torah. That means that the power of speech has profound significance. If it didn't, who cares what the Jews said? You can say anything you want. If it's not reliable, what difference does it make? The message is, a Jew must be reliable. His words have to have significance. He must be a person upon whom people can place their trust, in whom people can place their trust. In fact, somebody who makes a promise or an indication that he'll do something for another person. For example, I'll give you a present, and he doesn't go through with it. It may not be enforceable at law, but that individual is considered, according to halacha, as being a mechusar amana, person who is void of trustworthiness. So we see that speech and a proclamation of intent to either do something or to desist from doing something or to prohibit something, it has the force of law at Judaism. Now this means that we take our word very seriously. In fact, many of us, when we say we're going to do something, we intend to do something, we say b'li neder. Others who are careful don't say I will do this or I won't do this, but they say I plan on it, which is always accurate if indeed you do plan on it, whether or not you follow through. Let's get back to Roshei Hamatos. Why the Roshei Hamatos? So according to Rav Hirsch, the branches, the heads of the branches, connect to the root or the trunk. They're part of one integrated whole, but each branch has its own character. And the heads of the tribes are authorized to make proclamations that are appropriate for that tribe. And that's why they're referred to as a mateh, as a branch. Each branch is different and may require separate treatment. And the heads, the political heads, the leaders, they know, or should know, what kinds of proclamations, what kind of decrees, what kinds of governance each section requires. And then there's something a bit broader. One might say that the Roshei Hamatos, the political leaders, the governing leaders, set the moral tone, the culture of the group. Moshe is telling the heads of the tribes, being trustworthy, being reliable, having your speech mean something, is a profound message that has to permeate our entire people. And it starts at the top. It starts with the political leaders. They must be trustworthy. If the political leaders are trustworthy and they demand of the rest of the tribe that it and the people composing the rest of the tribe be trustworthy, then we create a culture of reliability, a culture of trustworthiness, and a culture of loyalty to Hashem, and ultimately to each other and to ourselves. Have a good Shabbos.